Hello,
Hello,
I'm Dinah.
I'm Francisco. How are you, Dinah?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm fine.
Yeah, and this is Double Espresso
Podcast.
podcast. Yes. The podcast that we have for today is we will discuss what are our top three books that we would like to recommend to everyone. So if you're a bookworm and you haven't read this book, then give it a try. Or you read more books as one of your New Year's resolution for 2023, then we have books that you can include in your list.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I think when we talk, probably people is thinking nowadays we read less books. I think we spend a lot of time using our phone, and actually from our phone we are reading a lot of stuff. But a book is different than what we read in a phone. It is a subject that you want to read. It's include knowledge, and most of the time, I mean, the books are edited, and the information has been already verified, and it's correct. So that's one difference that you have from reading from your phone. Nonetheless, there is more formats than reading just the natural or the traditional book, but just to read just to read using your tablet or using your phone or using even the Kindle. But I still prefer also the traditional book.
Yes.
I think also, for me, I retain more information, I read it easy, I read it fast. It costs a little more, but I also enjoy to having my books in the library. I think I feel proud, and sometimes you have an idea, you like to go to the book and consult. Probably you can do the same in your Kindle, but I don't know. I find different thing. I don't know. Probably it's not measurable, but it's just on feelings, and I prefer the books.
I think it's more on feelings. Like what I told you. Like I'm not sure if everyone have the same sense of feeling, but when you read the book, when I read the book, I love the smell of the book. And I love the texture of the pages. Yes. Okay, so shall we do one by one? You go first one, and then I'll go for my first
sure.
one.
All right. So, well, I encourage people to read the books that they like about the subject that they know or they like, but I also encourage people to expand their knowledge. And sometimes it's also good to read books that you may know from people that you may not agree from their ideas. I think this expands also your knowledge. So don't focus always on having a set up mindset of ideas, and expand. Maybe opposite ideas can bring you, it can either reinforce your idea that obviously that was wrong, or it can give you a wide knowledge of the subject. So I think it's important to read a variety of titles and different subjects. So my first book that I'm going to recommend, is actually quite dense book. It's from Nassim Nicholas Taleb, and this one is help me to verify and to understand the ideas that previously I have, and it's written and allows you to visualize where the concept is coming and allow me to understand the origin of my ideas. So I think it's a nice book to read. It's quite dense, it's quite interesting, but I mean you can also skip some part if you find too difficult or too compressed. But I recommend at least to have this book and have a reading at least. It's quite dense, it's quite nice, so I recommend to start with this.
Yeah, so they have it in different languages, right? Because I see that you're reading the Spanish version.
Well, that's true. This author is having the book translated into many different languages. Previously I read one of his books in English, and it was looking a bit complicated for me to understand, because it's coming with also some mathematical concept if you want to go deep on it, and it's a bit more difficult to understand. But I choose in my language Spanish, and I think it's much easier, much faster for me to progress on it and to retain the information.
Yeah, because it has all the technical
descriptions in Spanish.
Yes. Yeah. Okay, nice one. Okay, so for me, For me, I like reading books more on motivational, more on inspirational, more on mind mapping, mind conditioning. Because for me, to be successful in any field or any project that you want to start with, or just basically in life, it's all starts with the right mindset. And when you have the right mindset, everything is possible. So I like more on this kind of books, and also I like as well like leadership books. I have many books to recommend, but these are my top three, and I'll start with the first one. So the first one, it's Manifest. It is by Roxy Nafusi. So Manifest is just basically manifesting, making your ideas, making your concept of, or creating your desired life into reality. And Roxy Nafusi have provided, it is, I would say, like a simplified kind of book. Like you won't find like really complex words, and I think that's nice, and that's really important. And anyone, it's something that's easy to understand.
Okay.
I really like this book, and I recommended it to my friends. I even gifted to some of my close friends this book Manifest, and also they have it in different languages. There is in Spanish. I actually gave one to your sister because I think this is something that really needs to be shared to as many people, especially to our loved ones. So yeah, Manifest, and I am a strong believer of manifestation.
I still need to read it.
Maybe in one of our podcasts we can also have a topic on how do you manifest, or how to, this kind of things. I would like to
Yeah,
to have
probably
that
I have
topic.
to read it and then
Yes,
we can
yes,
discuss.
yeah. All
It's
right.
nice.
Yes.
Well, if I had to talk about my next book, I'd like to explain that I don't read only single book. Maybe I focus for a time in a single book, but normally I'm reading like 3 or 4 books at the same time. And the subjects are normally, one is on personal development, normally. Another one can be a biography, or it can be some other subjects. Another one is about
Finance,
investment, etc. And finally, I also use, maybe I used to like to read a novel or something more enjoyable. So the next book I want to show is The New Case for Gold. Okay, this is a funny story of this book. My wife bought it because of the color. And she likes that the cover is gold, and she wanted to use for decoration in our library. So stayed there for quite some time, and no one was reading it. And then one day I took the chance to read it. I wanted to have a look, and I realized it's a quite nice book to understand how important is gold in the world, and in the finance system. And I think it gives you the base knowledge. It's not complex. It's quite easy to read. It's quite, it's not going like in a deep finance. It's just explaining to you why gold is important in the world, and why price of gold is a reference on the finance. I think it's nice to read it, to understand, to have a basic idea of understanding of the market, finance market, and why gold is interesting for us. And it's written probably in 2016, I think it was published, and already predicted that there will be a war between Russia and Ukraine, and explain how many things are connected to our finance system, to our war exchange, and also to the gold. So I think you will find this book quite interesting from James Richard, and I think it's quite nice for you to read.
Yeah, I agree. I also read that one after you read it, so agree. All right, so second book for me, Surrounded by Idiots. It is by Thomas Erickson. I really enjoy reading this book, and even after reading this book, every now and then I still check some of the, like the main point scholars. So this one, it's not literally like Surrounded by Idiots, but idiots is like different personalities different from you. I think it's important to have an understanding of different personalities because no one is an island, right? Like at work, we work with colleagues with different personalities, and maybe like my case, you have the same situation wherein you deal with a lot of people in different regions, different nationalities, different background. And sometimes you find yourself in a situation wherein you have this great idea, but it's not the other person is not getting it the same way you are understanding it, or you have a different perspective in one thing and they react differently. And probably the reason for that is because they have a different color personality than yours, and when you are able to understand what is their color personality, you are able to adjust on some situation. Because I always believe that there are things that you cannot control. You cannot control how other people react, but you can always control on how you react. So if you have a very good understanding of different color personality, then you will be able to identify, you will be able to come up with a better solution on how you're gonna react on a specific situation. So this is something that is for everyone, I have to say, especially for people in the corporate world or people who are like dealing with clients, with customers.
I think it's a nice book. I will put in the category of auto-help.
Yes.
I think, I bought this book thinking that it was about actually to complain about people. I think my wife can say this. I complain a lot about people. But I realized one thing. My standard of reference is myself, probably the people that I have surrounded me. And obviously, you feel more comfortable with those people that you share the same ideas. So you try to surround by people who share the same opinions, similar opinion to you, has similar or pretty close sharing hobbies and movies, books, food, everything. So then at the end you create your own world and your reference.
Your circle.
Yeah, you create your circle, and then that's your reference. And then when you deal with other people which is not in your circle and it has a different mentality, different way of thinking,
different personality,
different approach, you start to find edges, let's say. You start to find a friction in this relation. And I think this book helped a lot. I will put two things. One is to identify yourself. What is your main feature as a personality, which already helps a lot if you understand how you are. And also allows you to give you, it doesn't try to be the universal book for everyone, to classify everyone. It just gives you some hints on how to identify few features, few behaviors of certain people that allow you to, okay, this person is more prone to be very specific or very determined, or this person is more prone to be talkative, or this person is more prone to be shy. So then, if you understand in a basic interaction, in a basic interaction, if you really understand how is the other person probably behave or mentality or way of thinking, you will try to adjust your communication and your message to that person, because in reality I don't think there is wrong understanding between people. It's just a miscommunication. Is I'm trying to explain to someone in the way I see the things, and probably that person has a totally way of
different perspective.
Different perspective. So it's also helped to understand what could be the other perspective of the other person, and how you could adjust your message to make your message understood by the other person. And I think it's quite interesting because with very few tips, you already have a good classification which will allow you to improve your communication and your interaction with different people.
What is your color? What is your main color personality? Or combination? Because also another point here is that many of us has a different, like a combination of different colors. We can have 2 or 3, but there's always that one primary color that stands out. So what is your color personality?
Well, my color is probably yellow. I like to talk. I like to mingle with people. However, I'm not just simply yellow. I have a bit of a mix between red also and blue. However, I think the main color, if you put me under pressure, I will react more or less like a yellow type.
Yeah. And what is my color personality?
Well, I would talk like Dinah is quite red, and it has some blue dots, we could say. So she is really a director. She likes to direct people and tell people how to do the things. I think she likes to lead, and she likes to be precise. So that's why she has some blue dots, because she likes the job to be done properly and to be precisely, and don't accept, let's say, midpoints. So in that case, you have a good combination between red and blue. Sometimes it can be a bit difficult because her mind will not change easily, even if she's probably wrong. So you have to consider that, and then you have to take the strategy. When I interact with her, I may think, okay, we are reaching the point where she's not able to understand for whatever reason. So then probably I change my approach, and it really helps, I have to say.
Yeah, interesting. And yeah, that's true. I've done as well a personality test in my company, and it's the same thing. I am leaning more on the red personality, which is actually one of the personality trait which is needed in terms of crisis management. And I am dealing with projects with certain deadlines, deliverables, timeline, and that's probably where it's coming from. And then blue is because I'm in finance. It has to be accurate. Yeah.
By the way, just to
but anyway, I also have yellow personality. Okay, I am a happy person.
Yes. Just to finish with the book, there is actually no better color than other.
Yes, true.
Actually, the book explained clearly that you have to consider that all of them are necessary, and it's not about who is better. It's more about understanding and how you can, if you understand your personality, if you understand the personality of the other person, how you could better communicate, how you could better achieve the target that you may have in common. So it is quite interesting as a help, and obviously there are nice findings on this book that it would be interesting for you.
Yeah, thank you. So thank you, Thomas Erickson, for coming up with this really interesting book. It's a good read, Surrounded by Idiots by Thomas Erickson.
Yeah, okay.
Right.
For my last book, where I said I like to have 4 subjects reading, I'm not going to propose a novel. I think novels depend on what subject you like to read and what are you interested in. But for last option, last book, I am proposing easy read, personal development. I think I choose this author, which is Filipino.
Yes.
It's Francis Con, and then he is making this kind of very easy reading books, clear message. You understand, you read it. It doesn't take much effort. This one in particular is one day at a time. So every page it has some message. It has clear lines. You just read it probably every day, whatever. It doesn't take actually much time. I like to read books from Francis because he made it so easy. He made it so simple. he made it nice for you to understand, and it helped also to retain, and sometimes it's just to remember yourself some of the ideas that you probably know, but it's good to read it and to apply it to your daily activities.
Yeah, and I'm happy to see that you have a Filipino author in
Yeah.
your... Okay, and for me, top 3 is this one. How to Fail at Almost Everything and Still Win Big. It is by Scott Adams. So this is a really nice and also a little bit of a comedy kind of book, and just want to share with you that this book was actually gifted to me by my husband back in 2019. I had a really big decision to make. So I've been with a company for like 7 years, from Singapore, moved to Abu Dhabi, and then back to Singapore because there's some organization restructuring. And when I went back to Singapore, I have these big plans in my mind, like many things, like this will be new beginnings, big things that's gonna come up, challenging ones, but also gonna be a rewarding one. So these are the ideas that I had back in January or February 2019. But then things didn't go right. Plans, didn't
Goes
as expected. So I decided to quit. I decided to resign, and then move on, and look for other company that will be more deserving of my of my skills, of my commitment. So that happened. So my husband gifted this to me. He said, okay, I think you need this book. I hope this will help you to have a different perspective, a better perspective, to unfold the things ahead of me. So he gifted me this. I read this. I really enjoy. I actually read it, I think, twice. Yeah, and it's really a good one. So if you're into that kind of situation, this is like a must-read book.
Like
the title.
A turning point.
Yeah, it's like a life-changing book. Let me repeat the topic of the book. How to Fail at Almost Everything and Still Win Big. This is by Scott Adams. Really, really love this book.
I think the author made it very nice, so it's quite easy to read also, and it share also a lot of his personal stories, and the very nice thing of this book is that you are reading, you are laughing with it. It's quite funny, but also give you a quite good understanding that why you should pursue probably many projects, because from every project you learn a lot of things, and because also that helps you to grow, to expand also your network. And we never know where the success or where how our life can turn, and probably something unexpected happen, and then you take it, and because of the connections you could develop further. So quite interesting book, quite nice if you are in that situation. Also, if you're not in that situation where your life is maybe changing, you should also read it. It's a nice book.
Yes.
And I would say, as you said, I mean, I didn't read for a second time, but from time to time I like to visit some of the chapter and have a quick go through and quick read. And it's quite nice.
Yeah.
Nice, thank you so much. I think I like so much the idea of sharing the books.
And you know what? I feel like, can we have a second round of
Probably
this?
we could have a second round next time and propose more books. I think every book brings something good on us, and we could do a small summary, but we never release the content of the book. You had to read it by yourself, you had to find, but we found something on each book, something interesting. I think it's good to share. All right. Thank you so much, Dinah.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you for listening or watching Double Espresso Podcast. Till next time.
Podcast. Please subscribe.
Yes, thank you.